Hello and welcome to today's video. Today we're going to take a look at a replay that was sent in by one of my coached players from my earlier Reddit thread, and this is currently a game at I believe 1800 MMR, and why we're looking at this particular one is to find out how we can finish games. This is a particularly interesting game because it is round 12 finish. He already spoiled me because I know now he does win this, but we want to find out, can we win any earlier? So we're gonna quickly go through these rounds. I will quickly talk about what we are looking for here. The idea is the guy who finishes the game first always wins. Makes sense, right? There is an urgency to win earlier than later because there's a random effect in being unit drops and cards being deployed every turn. So it becomes more and more risky to just die to a single outright play on a particular turns, and we will actually have to play around those turns ourselves, because whoever pulls the trigger first will probably win. So it's very important to know when to finish and how to finish the game. And we will take a look here at the board state on round 7 coming to round 8, because that's the one we need to know. Everything else is pretty much a mid-range push against a normal setup, and then we'll have a look how this actually turns out. So round 7, there's a Wasp swap offered here that nobody takes, and also there is nothing respected here in terms of just defending against it. What I mean by that is there is already a Wasp down here, and opponent will deploy some Mustangs into that to answer that. However, he does not play around the Wasp drop, which could have come in the middle here. So keep this in mind. This is information we will need later. Another information we already could gather before coming into this is we do have fortified Arclight on blue here. Means we have 15 reduced range on those Arclights, and also not a single tech outside of charge shot to deal with the steel balls. So we have a lot of tech deficits here, and we also have a range deficit against a fellow carry Arclight enjoyer. Now that is a problem for the next turn that we need to solve, but for now all we need to know is we want to finish this game if we can next round. Turn 7 or 8 is probably the best turn to do this, but we also need to keep track of the rest of the board. We're doing very well this turn. We have anti-air on the marksman to deal with those phoenixes, but opponent still does not have the proper anti-air that we should expect him to have on a round like this. So on round 8 we will actually start with the proper deployment. How do we finish from this state of a board? We do not talk about how we came here or if it's correct or wrong to get to this kind of board state. We just want to see the outs. And the very first thing I would always tell you is do not pick your cards immediately. Do take a look at the board and see if there's a weakness to any spells that you were offered. So in this case, the Wasp Swarm again shows up, and we see a big gaping hole here where there's no anti-Wasp units whatsoever. So if we deploy them right in the middle, or we distract the Mustangs, which is both possible, the Wasp will take out the Phoenixes and the towers as well. So this is our biggest winning opportunity just straight from the card. The second option is Incendiary Bomb, and the ability to get oil from the tower and also from the drop here means we can probably kill about this line of chaff if we can break the shields. This should also mean that we do play around Incendiary Bomb ourselves. This is also important. First version, this is Wasp Swarm. Wasp Swarm goes straight into the middle, so it attracts as little Mustangs as possible. We do hit anti-air on the Wasp here to kill those Phoenixes quickly and then take the towers. We will also hit range here, so our normal Wasp Sword can also do its job. We will deploy shields all around our chaff, pretty much like so, and then if we have the money we'll also shield the middle. We will always loan this turn. On a killing turn we will loan no matter what we do. So you will see me doing this every turn. And since we already committed to the attacks on the Wasp. We will also send some of these Wasp down the middle. Again, trying to make sure that we hit the middle part, so we stay away from the Mustangs as long as we can. And the last thing we would also like to have here is a little bit more chaff for later. Like so. Alright, see how this goes. So the back door is coming online. Phoenixes die immediately because we have a good amount of range, 135, which means 2 of these towers are dead, and that means he loses the game no matter what happens. Nobody comes back from a double debuff on turn 8. And even if that did not work as we wanted it to, we still have a lot of air units into basically 1 upgrade white Mustangs. We will always win this kind of game. So this is probably the correct play. I will also make some plays now where we do not have these bubbles, or where we try to make our use of the fire. But this is, I think, the correct play. And as you can see here, we could have finished him even on a turn before if we wanted to with this kind of setup in general. Here's the second try, the Arclight commit arc. So we will drop Arclights with elite marksman here on this turn. We'll loan and click arrange. We'll also put down the Wasp a little bit closer here. So let's say we don't want to play around getting wrecked by Mustangs. We will still take the play that we did earlier. But we now do commit to our Arclights as we were planning to do earlier. We will drop the shields as far forward as we can afford, which is more in the middle and less to the side, like so. And see how it goes. So the Wasp will still come in here and distract the Phoenixes, no matter if Ariel is back or not. And this means that the shields will stay up longer. As you can see here, even without all the attacks that we did, there is actually a chance we almost get the tower. We would have gotten the tower if I deployed them a little more to the left, but that would also have dragged a Mustang over here. So that's a very risky play that you wouldn't want to do in general. But you could do, in case you're wondering if that was a successful play, it would have been if we clicked either area spec or area spec range, or even just the positioning itself. The rest of the game goes pretty much exactly like Blue envisioned it here, and that means we finish him off just barely, but the original tactics could have been the thing we could do, but we have to play around both the fire and the Wasp Storm in order to actually make that work. Next up we have a Wraith play here. So we will drop those Wasp yet again. But this time, since we are elite spec, we make use of that and will drop a few Wraiths. Wraiths are very, very hard to deal with, unless you have a specific board designed to deal with them, which opponent does not have. So we will just add 3 of them. Loan again. Do our normal shielding. Like so. We will sell out of one of the saber teeth because we don't need him. We have triple Wraith that we can deploy here, which frees us up with enough money to go for 8-gun. We are trying to move the Wraith as close as we can with the normal version to get those Phoenixes down. And here we go. We do not click anything else. We just shield playing around the fire. We will have our Wasp here on distraction duty. Now this Phoenix doesn't even shoot at them because he is shooting the Wraith right now. And the big Wraith with the super heavy armor is going to make use of its entire HP pool by tanking those Phoenixes until the round is over. And this is very important to note because super heavy armor is an extremely expensive item. So unless you're getting all the value out of the item that you can get, it's usually a bad play to pick. But since we have it from earlier, we might as well make use of it and put it on a unit that actually needs it, like a Wraith, tanking those Phoenixes just with item advantage. And that's an easy peasy win, and it's, as you can see, a very big one too. Could have finished him last turn even with that kind of damage as well. Up next we have the big kahuna play, as I like to call it, which means we will try to get big tanky units in positions where he can't deal with them. And that means in this case we were going to go for fortresses. Fortresses have the big upside of dealing with those Phoenixes with the anti-air barrage, and also means we get to use the super heavy armor on a bigger target like the fortress in trying to solve these problems here. So we'll drop the Wasp bomb yet again straight in the middle. We'll also loan, as always. We will still shield everything. And we actually have 250 left to do whatever we want. In this case, I would recommend just using that kind of extra money to go for another unit in front so we don't get hit by rockets and EMPs and whatnot. So I will use a sacrificial Fang here and try to block those Arclight shots earlier. And here we go. There we go. Charge shot getting dodged by those Fangs. Arclights are terrible into Fangs when they have charge shot. And our fortresses here are pretty much unscathed. We do even get the tower with that play here with the Wasp. But you would also be able to win here without even getting the tower, because the fortress is just too tanky to actually die. And the Phoenixes are the main damage dealer on the other side when it comes to dealing with the ground board here. And that's gonna be one with a fort play as a finisher. Not as effective as the Wraith, but still good. This one is where we get a little bit spicy. We will actually make use of the Incendiary Bomb this time. So Incendiary Bomb has a target that are those Mustangs. So if we can target those, that would be very nice. So we'll drop this bomb here. We'll still go for a full lone play. And we will also add a sticky bomb attached to this so we can get the other side as well. We won't get the Mustangs on that, but we will get the rest of the Arclights bathing here. Now, this is where multiple units can come in. In this case, we will go for a Stormcaller play, and that Stormcaller is gonna drop those missiles early enough to make sure that we actually break the shields before everything goes down. So we try to make sure that the Stormcallers actually target stuff that is near or in the range where the shield would be. And then we shield up ourselves, just protecting those Stormcallers. Like so. Opponent did put some crawlers in the middle, but they're a little bit too close to the shield. So as you can see here, we can nuke the shield and get some of that fire to land, but we fail at the other side. So is it a good play? It's a risky play, but on the other hand, the Stormcaller is a good unit here in general. It's not just a good unit in terms of breaking shields. So if you have something like long-range Arclight fighting, all that stuff, the Stormcaller will still one-shot them if he has high enough level. And we do need shield break here in order to get our targets with the marksman and also the Arclights. So this is a very sloppy version of what we did earlier. But it still works out because Stormcallers also deal 600 damage due to being 200 cost units. And as you can see here, a cheap play that still works because we play around him shielding and we shield ourselves. That was the only reason why this did work in the first place. So let's have a look if we can actually make that a better play with different units that also shield break. Alright, coming up next is another classic. This time we're gonna go for the Wasp play again because we want to distract those Phoenixes. And we will also add a blue factory here. Very similar to the fort play, except the factory actually does more against the towers and all that stuff. Because the idea is here we just don't need endless amount of units. We just need some tanky units in order to win this round. And in order to achieve this, we probably want to use a beacon here. One of those backward beacons. So we can get around this. And also, most of the time you want to drop a missile here. Because the factory might actually pop those shields immediately if it gets to fire. So what we can do is drop a missile about here and then try to intercept those crawlers coming in. There's the shields that we expect. Now, blue factory being blue factory will blow those up immediately. We take out the crawler, we also slow down the steel balls, and now the factory only has one pack unit to deal with. Which means even when it's EMP'd, even if the opponent has steel balls next to it, they're not gonna get any time close. Mustangs are completely occupied because the war factory is too far forward, which means the Mustangs cannot target the Wasp and the Wasp can target the Phoenixes. So even if you're not going for the Wasp play, this is a good play in general to do. And the other side here is winning because we shielded properly. So we can go both for the most defensive play and also for a very strong finisher on the same turn with this method, which I think is quite a good one into a bunch of board states. It's the classic for a reason. Coming up next, we have the Blue Hair Special, as I like to call it. It's gonna be a very forward Wasp Swarm, in addition to having more Wasp with tech. And then, to make all of this work, we will also add a Sledgehammer. The Sledgehammer will take the brunt of the damage, whereas our Wasp blob is gonna go straight into that tower and assassinate it. Other than that, it's just the usual stuff. We will sell out of the Saber. Make the Wasp a little bit more tanky. Very forward shielding, because we can afford to, since we have those front Wasp. And then for the last 100 here, I would usually put down a missile here, just in case there's something deployed here. And we will also deploy a missile here, in case the Wasp actually gets to shut down a shield that is over here. Alright, round goes off. Immediately, Sledgehammers are being targeted. Our big Wasp blob over here has barely any units to fight, which means they will go into the tower. Phoenixes cannot fight Wasp at all, no matter how high their upgrades be or anything like that. And we take out the tower in time. Thanks to the debuff, the other side will also win while not having any new units. And the Wasp Swarm Wasp will defend our real carry Wasp long enough so we can actually make the play. So divide and conquer is what Blue Hair likes to play. He always does this with steel balls, he does it with Wasp. All these units that can actually profit from a big flank like that Sledgehammer over there. Also a play that was enabled by having elite spec, which is something you should always play around. The next thing we're going to do is Incendiary Bomb yet again. This time we will use a different shield breaker. It's gonna be a melting point with the EMP barrage upgrade, which can take out those units rather easily. We will still go for the Arclight play here, in addition to deploying the shields. And in order to make use of this melting point in the later turns, we would also employ another marksman to get rid of those phoenixes earlier. And one missile in case we don't have enough EMP. So the missiles will target the crawler here in the middle and will hit one of these shields, which means the entire left side dies. We also damage a bunch of those hounds as well. Could have been a little bit more forward in my opinion, but it was good enough for this turn. And the melter will continue to both tank and also get value of the electromagnetic barrage later. The main reason why this works is because we get to clear this chaff, and we also have a very tanky unit that does keep scaling like this. It's gonna make sure that the Arclights cannot win a long-range firefight in the late game due to not having their upgrades. Very underused ability in my opinion. It does very well into this kind of board where we have shields to deal with and our DPS or our burst actually is not that good. And another one. This time we are back on the super heavy armor train. Now the super heavy armor allows us to get 2 units out that are really tanky and not that easy to kill. But we need them on a unit that can actually get to where we want them. And that's gonna be the sandworm for this turn. Now I know what you're saying, there's already steel balls on the board. How the hell are you gonna kill those with a sandworm? Well, we have super heavy armor, that's the first thing. We also do have armor enhancement and or strike, which means we have a lot of damage. And the only thing that's gonna get targeted on this flank are the worms, which means we get a lot of value out of them in terms of just being straight up tanks. And other than that, if we are going for the worm stuff, we probably still want to hit speed, otherwise we have trouble getting to the front line. And strike should allow us to get up and down as fast as we can to get inside of the shields. So this is not playing into the shields, it's playing around the shields, so to speak. Those melting points could kill them, but there is no melting points on this board. There's just steel balls with 0 upgrades, and they get absolutely blown to pieces by worms like these. They are way too tanky to die. As you can see here, the splash of the strike also blows up the shield immediately as soon as it touches it. The other thing is, the worm is pretty much immune against EMP with strike, because it will strike before the EMP will apply to them. So they will always hit the desired target, and there's no playing around that from the Arclights whatsoever. So we will take the tower, and as soon as we take tower, we win the game. So do not underestimate super heavy armor. It can win you games if you know what kind of unit you want to take with that. And 1342, very close game, but it's enough to win, and it's a good play later as well. Next up, we have the Raiden play. We will still take the Wasp Swarm here. Also trying to sell out of the Sabertooth. But this time we're gonna go for the big boats. 3 of them to be exact. Also a amplifying core on one of them. And we try to play very aggressive here by breaking the shields early. And munching through those front lines, while also being protected from the phoenixes by dropping a Wasp Swarm pretty close by, because the Grey Mustangs do not do anything against a Raiden in its final form here. This will also enable us to drop 2 shields, but not too much shields. So Raidens will instantaneously blow up that shield. Phoenixes will get occupied by those Wasp in the back. The Mustangs can keep shooting. We don't mind that one really that much. And when the last Wasp dies over here, the other Wasp will already be on the way. And there's also going to be some crawlers coming in, since the majority of the Arclights will die to the Raiden. And the Mustangs are completely occupied by doing nothing. 3 Raidens is already above 1k damage. So even if we just keep a few units alive, we will finish him off, which is always an upside when you're deploying giants. And there we go. That's how we win with the Raiden drop. Also a good solution to this problem. All thanks to Elite being able to bust out big units on demand, which is most of the time giants late game. And then finally, last but not least, the humble crawler is going to make an appearance here. How do we do that? We press loose formation. We have to shield properly. Otherwise, we are absolutely toast. Like so, forward shielding. We will also deploy more crawlers on the sides here. There is some Mustangs here that would like to shoot the crawlers. So we will upgrade those. And here we go. Full crawler deploys, loose formation, proper shielding, and a far back drop on Wasp. And now we have blue crawlers everywhere. Those cannot be killed by hounds very easily. Those cannot be killed by charge shot Arclight. It's absolutely terrible into those. And they will do quite fine against the Mustangs even. They have 382 HP, so we can actually make use of Underground Threat as well, because the Hound has sub 500 damage. But sometimes simple solutions work out just fine. And if we see Arclights in the early game, we always think of loose formation later. Then last but not least, I want to show you how the game actually played out in round 8 and give you a quick summary how we came to those solutions. So first of all, every time there is spells offered, you check for the usability for yourself and your opponent. And in this case, Wasp 1 was very good for us, and the fire was very successful for the opponent. So we have to play around these and prevent the kind of board states that drag out games by getting killed off by spells. The next thing we need to know is from the before round, the round 7, that the opponent does not play around those spells very often. So we have a profile of coming into this game. We don't decide just by gut feeling. We decide based on what we already saw earlier in the game. The next thing we should say is just stick to your guns. We already have Wasp on the board, a Wasp in the drop, and the opponent only has 2 groups of Mustangs. That's something we should take note of and use the resource we already have in action. The second player was also the Arclight line. Just continue doing the Arclight thing and committing. If you don't commit, you do not get results out of these games because you're all over the place. The next thing is we need some sort of blocker, a big unit like a War Factory, like an Abyss, like a Fortress, like a Worm. All of these do similar things of blocking the units that are supposed to be good at dealing damage, aka the Arclights. And as long as we can dodge the big Phoenix on the right here, we will always have the opponent on the ropes because he does not have any melters on the board late game. The next thing we should talk about is we saw Arclights and Charge Shot on both sides, so we have to think about loose crawlers, because there is a big scan going on here where we see, does the opponent have enough anti-air? He doesn't. Does he have enough AoE clear? He does not, because we hit loose crawlers and then this thing goes straight out of the window. So these are plays that are common in high MMR, how to use them, and they will be applied to every game differently. So if you want to see some different finishers or even just the general gameplay, how we prevent this kind of situation from happening where we don't even need a finisher to win the game, feel free to subscribe. I will continue making these kind of videos, and we will have a look at different situations that may be applying better to your kind of game situation. So if you did enjoy the video, please leave a like and share the video so others may learn as well. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.